Hey everybody, well here it is. It's the end of the semester. And you know what? I think they're all great semesters. I've had some really good work done by so many of you. I just can't say it's been a dynamite semester only because I needed to have you guys face to face. It is so difficult to have this class especially. I would actually have the speech class or the public speaking. I'd rather have that online than have this online. This I'd much prefer to be face-to-face. Why? Because there's so many great things to discuss. For example, you just finished the paper based on the movie Absence of Malice, which, by the way, there were some excellent papers here, some great analysis. One of the things I really liked is, yes, it is a 40-year-old movie. It's an old movie, but it still addresses a very core issue when it comes to mass media and journalism and ethics. And it's such a great discussion topic that we could have in the classroom. I've had discussions about ethics take up entire class periods, and I would have loved to have had a discussion with so many of you in both the 006 and 009, but this whole COVID lockdown online crap, what the hell are you going to do? But anyway, so there was some really good stuff, and especially because, it's an older movie, but there's still something even today where you get your name in the paper or get your picture in the paper. There's still something to it, even though not many people have a newspaper or receive a newspaper. Most of us only know our grandparents who get a newspaper every day. It's so rare. The funny thing is, my wife, we were getting a newspaper every day. Now we just get it on the weekends. And the funny thing is that I barely look through it because I wake up and I'm looking at the news on the web. And by the time I get to the newspaper outside, well, I've already seen most of the news anyway. I've actually seen it updated as compared to when the paper was actually printed. But there was a time for hundreds of years, that the way we got our news was from a newspaper. And right there in the early 80s when this movie was released was at a time when newspapers were probably at their height. Even though there was television news, still television news was only at certain times when it was on. It was only broadcast at certain times. So, people really liked having a newspaper. People still, you even see in the beginning or certain scenes in the film where they just show the paper boy. And he's delivering a paper to almost every house. That's the way it was. Or you saw scenes towards the end where people are picking up a newspaper in a newsstand. Those are really busy. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I love to remember, because I still remember this as a kid, was the original movie Death Wish with Charles Bronson. It was made in 1974. Is when you watch it now, it's like, what is that? And what I'm talking about is he's coming home from work. Charles Bronson. He's just a regular guy who works in real estate. And he's coming home from work. It's dark out. It's nighttime. And he's going past a newsstand, and they're selling newspapers. What are they selling? They're selling the evening edition. Because they used to put out a morning edition, many years ago, a noon edition, and then, of course, an evening edition. And I even remember, like in older TV shows, where the father or mother would come home from work at night and open up a newspaper. It's like, why do you open up the newspaper now? Everything's old. No, it's the evening edition. It just came out. So, but those kind of stopped, I think, in like 1975, 1976. Many newspapers stopped putting out the evening edition. It just wasn't worth it anymore. But anyway, going back to ethics, ethics today, I don't think anybody has ethics anymore. It is amazing what goes on there. Unfortunately, though, ethics, the lack of ethics is leading to some pretty hefty lawsuits, and we're seeing a lot of that happen in today's media. And I just don't know why they don't learn, because a lot of the media are still making the same mistakes that they did just a couple years ago, and these media companies are losing a lot of money because of it. But now it's time to get ready for your final exam. One more thing, discussion. And this is where, one of the chapters that we didn't get to is talking about like the future of mass media or how mass media works today. And there's always been one topic of discussion over the years that students are always keen to ask about and want to talk about. If you remember a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned how the movie Red Notice with The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, had become the most viewed item in the history of Netflix. And it now had like 314 million views or something to that effect. Okay, making it the most watched item ever on Netflix. How does Netflix know that? See, a lot of people join Netflix because then they can watch something when they want, where they want, and no one has to know what I'm watching. I don't want anybody to know what I'm watching. I want to watch what I want to watch without you knowing what I'm watching. And yet, how does Netflix know? See, when Netflix first started putting out their success stories, first, of course, the show with Kevin Spacey about him being president. Oh, House of Cards. That was their first original program, and of course, it won numerous Emmy awards and was lauded as just this dynamite program, produced solely by Netflix. Well, how did they know it was successful? How did they know how many people were watching? And for years, the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, would get upset with Netflix because they would never put out numbers. While they had to, because of the Nielsen ratings, because of advertisers pay for the Nielsen ratings. So Netflix is able to tell us how. Do they now know what you're watching? Are you allowing your Netflix to say, yes, you can report that I'm... The whole thing about privacy has come up a lot in the last couple of years in class, and I just wish we could have had that discussion. Well, anyway, now it's time for your final exam, okay? And as you can see, you're answering one question. You're going to answer that question 4 times. Of course, you're going to apply the question to 4 different chapters of the textbook, okay? Each answer is going to be at least a paragraph, if not more long. But I want you to look at the question. Think about, remember, this is open textbook, open notebook. And I want you to apply the question to 4 of the chapters in your textbook. All right, lots of things going on. And one of the things that I think I said at the beginning of the semester is that one of the interesting parts about this class is that the textbook could be brand new, and yet by the time we receive it, almost 30% of it's out of date because mass media is moving so quickly. So there's your final exam. You have until Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Nothing after that. Nothing. The last day of the semester is Monday, and that's when I'm submitting final grades. So Sunday night, 8 p.m. Now, just to clean up a couple of other things. Number one, I had 3 more quizzes scheduled, which we didn't get to. You did 5 quizzes. I had scheduled 8. This happens every semester. I never get to all 8. So, of course, the ones that we didn't get to, you'll get points for. So everybody's going to get 60 points maximum for those 3 quizzes that we missed. Your class participation, as long as you completed all of the assignments, you did all the exercises that we did, you should have no problem getting the full complement of points for your class participation. All right? Hey, it's been a great semester. Loved having you guys. Just get that final exam into me by Sunday night, 8 p.m., and I hope you all have a very festive holiday season.